Hello, from La Purísima Franciscana School in Valencia. In this video we are going to tell you about the different points we must take into account in order to successfully create an activity for our project related to the school garden and educational centre. Hence, the starting point will be to identify to whom the project is addressed, that is, their beneficiaries and competencies we would like to work with. Secondly, we will decide what we really want to obtain to create an activity, and then we will focus on the evaluation and the impact. Before carrying out a school garden activity in our school, it is necessary to analyse the participants of the activity and what goals we want them to achieve, as well as their competences to work. For this, we will decide which contents can be useful to be worked in a transversal activity. It is important to define who the activity is aimed at. It is understood that it depends on the student's age, maturity, experience in the collaborative work, working with projects, etc. A specific activity will be prepared. But we must take into account other agents who benefit from the project. How is it going to affect the teachers? Can they be motivated and favoured by the development of learning from the school garden and in which different subjects participate together? We can also invite other people from the environment. Why not families? They are a fundamental part of growth of our students, and it can be an important value for them to be involved in some activity. Finally, by sharing our experience, we can help other students to improve their work, so we can learn from experiences to improve ours. The real question is, what do we want to obtain? If our students are the future of our society, and what society do we want to create? What objectives do we want them to achieve? And what competences do they need to work on to be able to develop successfully? It is essential to make this reflection so that our activities make real sense, and it is the best way to design an activity that meets the objectives we set ourselves. It is therefore inevitable to ask ourselves, what impact do we have to make on the school, on the families, on the neighbourhood? Finally, we continue to specify our starting point. We need to see from each of the subjects which part of the curriculum is related to the school garden, which are those contexts that we can work from the garden, all those aspects and contexts of each subject that we can in one way or another link with the school garden will be an opportunity to develop the activities that integrate the learning competences from the different subjects. Once we have those opportunities, it's time to take advantage of them. It is not a job just for a teacher, but for a team. It is time to look at all these contents that each subject has selected and try to group them transversally, so that we have the content from different subjects that we have decided that we can work together. From this moment on, the teachers of the subjects that are going to participate in the activity will have to reach an agreement what objectives and competences do we want to work on. Based on this, the first fundamental question is how. Depending on our objective, we'll choose a format. Depending on the competences we want to achieve, we'll choose a methodology, and even a language. We must reflect and be sure that the methodology used is one we believe is the best to achieve our objectives. It is essential in the design of the activity that we take two aspects into account. The first is the innovative nature of the activity. We will not always be able to do things differently or do something new, but we can provide something that is new for the students, with which we can capture their attention or simply challenge them. The second is the attention to the needs of our students. We must propose activities and challenges that can be carried out by everyone, regardless of their limitations, trying to enable them to adapt to the activity themselves. The universal design of learning represents an opportunity at this point. Before starting the activity, teachers have to consider what are the objectives they want to achieve with each of the tasks to be carried out. To do this, they must bear in mind that the activity is innovative and transforming traditional teaching and learning into practical and experimental learning, since the student will learn through their experiences and will feel motivated. The teacher does not transmit the information, but the student interprets and experiments with the content. During and after the activity, teachers must measure the impact through achievement indicators. Furthermore, students are evaluated by learning rubrics, always focusing on competences rather than the content and identifying students' strengths and weaknesses. The collaborative work that is generating among students at different stages helps to empathise with each other. Once we have thought about the activity and how we are going to evaluate it, it is time to start planning said activity, taking into account the prior knowledge of both teachers and students. To do this, we must think about how we are going to time each of the tasks that will take place during the process, indicating the number of sessions that we will need and in order which we are going to carry them out. It is important that a list is made with all the material that we will need to carry out the activity and have it prepared in advance. Are we going to need mobile devices or computers? At some point, will the students have to use dictionaries to learn specific vocabulary? Are tools needed to work on in the garden? Will seeds, plastic bottles or any other material be needed? In the event that students have to take care of any of these materials, we will notify them in advance so they can bring it to class. Finally, we come to one of the key points for our project, dissemination. During the project, we will collect evidence such as photos of the work, presented the students working, and videos. For a better dissemination of the project, a web page can be created, and it will be there where we will upload all the evidence. In addition, it is very important that we disseminate on social networks such as Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, both from the centre and from the project itself. To achieve a greater internationalization, we will upload the project to the eTwinning platform so that other partners can join and participate in activities, or they can simply benefit from our experiences for future projects. Through these publications on social networks and on the website, we are going to measure the indicators of success so that we can see if we are carrying out our project in a good way or if there's something we need to improve. Finally, thank you very much for your attention, and we will see you at our next Erasmus Plus project.